Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. This is your Major League Baseball playoff show for Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. I'm your host, Donnie Seymour, with my other host, Jason Radowitz, and we're going to get after today a full game. And you keep saying here, Jason, we keep looking, it says, never before in Major League Baseball, 8 playoff games in one day, and here we are. I got 2 monitors up, 2 games on. I need some runs in some of these games. It's exciting stuff in Major League Baseball. Jason, how are we doing today, buddy?
We're doing well. I can't complain. Usually Wednesdays are the days where I kind of really dig into the NFL for the weekend. But here we are, got baseball going the entire day. Another March Madness type feel. Really exciting, really fun. But I do have to get some other work done, so we'll see how that all plays out today.
Yeah, watching no runs on the board just yet here. 5th inning, Cincinnati, Atlanta, 0-0. Bauer pitching great, Fried pitching great, and also just got out of the first inning, Minnesota. And a common theme here early on in the game leaves the bases loaded with 2 outs. I'm sitting on a team total for that game, so I hope I don't get too distracted. I might have to turn my television monitors off here and just watch the chat box to keep updated, or maybe get a ringer here on my finger. But thank you guys for tuning into the show. 61 people already in the chat box. 69,700 people have now hit the subscribe button right here on our YouTube channel at sportsbookreview.com. Turn those notification bells on. NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, soccer, college football, UFC. We got it all covered for you right here. Thank you for coming into the chat box here. One for the money, Gerald Martinez, Chaz, Dennis, Paul, Steve S. Who else? Eric's in here. Eddie's in here. Matt's in here. Steven Montez, Randy Sorry. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. Let's get after it. Let's have some fun. Yesterday, was able to get a nice early game winner. Team total over 3.5 for those Chicago White Sox. Crept through 3 home runs in that game, 4 total runs, so we just got over. Sometimes, Jason, in order to get something to happen, you have to ask for it. I put out a tweet, said, please, how about a solo home run here for the White Sox? Ask and you shall receive. They get their 4th run. Should be an interesting day. Yesterday, Jason, how did it work out for you? What did you see yesterday, and what might you be turning it over into today from what you saw visually?
Yeah, so we had the White Sox on the team total, and we were definitely holding our breaths a little bit later in the game, but got that home run from Grandal, and that was really fun. Was kicking myself a little bit. I'm saying, why didn't I just take the White Sox on the money line around the same juice? And that's the one thing I was like, all right, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But we got that, and it all worked out in our favor. But I did have a loss as well with the Blue Jays. We needed them to get 3 runs, and they had their chances late in the game. They really did. Couldn't get the job done. But the other 2 leans I had were obviously the Yankees on the money line, and obviously they got the win real easily. And then also would have had been correct on my other lean with the Twins minus 0.5 in the first 5. So again, it seems to be another theme with me is most of my analysis is correct, but I always seem to make that one play official that actually loses. But the reality is we learned a lot from that first game. I think we saw a lot of unders. Of course, the Yankees were the only team that really kind of hit lights out. Maybe the balls are less juiced. Maybe there's something in those balls. Maybe the Yankees are just that good. But yeah, we learned a ton. I think you're looking at this Reds and Braves game. It's under through it's going to be under through 5 innings of the first 4.5. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more unders now, especially with the 8th pitchers going. We don't have Michael Fulmer to lean on. We don't have Luke Weaver. We don't have Madison Bumgarner. Don't have John Means. So it's going to be a little bit harder in the playoffs now. We can't rely on those terrible pitchers. But even guys like Reynaldo Lopez probably won't get a start for the White Sox. Might come out of the bullpen. You saw Robbie Ray come out of the bullpen. And that's the other thing. The one last thing before I know I keep talking way too much, but another thing is Robbie Ray. This is a guy. He started right, comes in the bullpen, out of the bullpen in the first game. So we're going to see a lot of teams start bringing out their starting pitchers, their 4th and 5th tier pitchers coming out of the bullpen. So you'll see that with the Blue Jays and probably a couple other teams as well. Like the Rays. If you look at the Brewers, we'll talk about them in a bit. But Corbin Burns is now out. Brett Anderson has a blister. So they're basically a bullpen team now at this point. Pitching. So who knows what they're going to do with the Brewers? This could be really interesting throughout the entire series against the Dodgers. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I mean that's pretty concerning without Corbin Burns and Anderson with the blister.
No, Jason, your point is very valid today because yesterday you get that opening day of baseball. So teams, what do they want to do? If we lose, okay. But now you turn it over to game 2 where there's a lot of series that are just starting, but there's a lot of series that have, obviously, with a 3-game, you're down 0-1. It's an all hands on deck equation. So when you're taking a look at games, and we'll get into them in just a little bit, like the White Sox game or even the Toronto game, where if your starting pitcher is in a little bit of trouble in the second or third inning, he's out because as they say, or what they would say in Rocky is there is no tomorrow if you lose this game. So yesterday, maybe if your pitcher struggles a little bit, which there wasn't a lot of pitchers struggling outside of Cleveland, you're going to say, you know what, ride this out. I don't want to burn my bullpen. Let's see if we can win it late. But now you're looking at a game situation where it doesn't matter if you lose because you're going home. If you have to burn your next day starting pitcher, if you have to go run out a guy in the bullpen that you maybe wanted to save for game 3, you can't do it because if there's no game 3, what's the point of that? And we've seen managers do that in the past, say, why did you hold your bullpen back? Why didn't you use it in certain situations? Well, if it was game 6 or game 7, it wasn't. You're going home and you're going to lose. So we'll take a look at those. We're going to go right down the list. Usually we have and behind the scenes pick out a couple games. We go in order. But since there's not that many games, we're going to go right in our timeline here as opposed to even going on rotation. So obviously we have the Houston-Minnesota game, 0-0. We have no runs here in Cincinnati-Atlanta. Why don't we kick it off here in Chicago? 2:08 start, 9:47, 9:48. Miami's going to pitch Alcantara on the mound versus Hendricks for the Chicago Cubs. Looks like to start the game, or at least halfway through the game, you got winds blowing out 15, 16, 17 miles an hour to center field. Then it looks like it sort of turns into a swirling wind, but the line opens up at 8, and it's sitting at 8.5 at most outlets. 8's, maybe New Jersey FanDuel minus 115, minus 120. I already had it circled early in the day. I took the over 8 in that game. Anytime, I don't care who's on the mound. If the wind is blowing out in any form or fashion, I'm going to take the over. Playoff baseball, you're going to use your bullpen more. You're going to maybe bunt as opposed to playing for a big inning. I get that. But if I'm going to get Wrigley Field with the wind blowing out at all, and I don't get it's not Scherzer versus Randy Johnson in this game. It's Alcantara versus Hendricks. I do think Hendricks is the better pitcher in this environment, but I was also looking at a Cubs team total over in this game, but I like the over 8 here, Jason. I just do.
And the wind right there is the reason why I'm staying away from this game. I've read a lot of people kind of talk about how the Marlins somehow always find a way to beat the Cubs or like that kryptonite team. I don't know. There's a lot of things that scare me in this game. Like Hendricks, he's looked really good at home. Obviously, he's been around that wind before. So when it comes to Hendricks, he's used to being in Chicago compared to the Miami Marlins, who literally play in Miami in that nice weather, no wind. So when you look at this game, it's like, all right, the Cubs are easily the favorites in this one. Alcantara, he's surprised this season. He's looked really good. In September, he's allowed 12 runs, but just 8 were earned in 31.1 innings pitched. He's gone 6 innings in every start in September. So he's going deep. He's not allowing too many runs. He's looked pretty good. And he allowed 3 runs, 2 earned in 7.1 innings pitched versus the Yankees with 9 strikeouts in his last start. So he's coming off a solid start. Also, Alcantara has an ERA of 1.80 on the road with a 176 batting average in 3 starts. Lefties do have a 268 average, but righties only have a 190 average. So, there's room for Alcantara to pitch well in this game. But again, the wind obviously will be a little bit concerning. And again, the Cubs have played in this weather before and probably can adjust a lot better than the Marlins can. So on the other hand, you have Hendricks. He's got a low walk rate, doesn't walk too many batters, a low hard contact rate as well. He allowed just 2 earned runs or less in every game in September. Obviously, we've seen him go deep in games. I think he went 7.2 innings pitched or more in his last 4 starts. So righties are hitting 274, and he had a 185 home ERA in 6 starts with batting average of just 195. So if I'm looking at this game, I like the Cubs, obviously, at home against the Marlins. I don't see how the Marlins are able to adjust to this wind. Hendricks has pitched in this wind before. He's looked really good at home throughout his entire career, especially in Wrigley Field. So if I had to pick in this game, it would be the Cubs minus 159 or whatever the money line is, and I would just roll with that. The over-under, I agree with the over, just Hendricks. He's been really good at home. I'd be concerned.
Yeah, no. So you might be leaning on a Cubs team total in this spot because you bring up a good point when you take a look at Alcantara on the road here. And again, we don't get many tomato cans in the playoffs that are going to start for us. So you're trying to pick and choose on what some of these matchups make a lot of sense. If the wind's blowing out and you like left-handed pitching, or left-handed hitting versus Alcantara, you take a look at this game. Happ's a lefty, Rizzo's a lefty, Schwarber, Hayward, Caratini, Kipnis. So 6 out of 9 batters are going to come from the left-hand side against Sandy Alcantara. So we'll see if that actually plays out and how it goes. I just like the over in this one. I've looked at 4-4, 3-3, get to extra innings. Now, again, keep in mind also that nice luxury that we had in the regular season with a man on second base, that goes away. But still, you're still going to look for at least, obviously, one more run if you do make it to extra innings. So if it's 4-4, you'll pick up that automatic win. Even 3-3, you conceivably still get a good look at going over in that game. We'll keep going here. 9:45, 9:46 yesterday. I think the most of us thought that the Chicago White Sox team total would come in, which it did. Thought the Chicago White Sox would be advantageous in that game with Giolito. He was fantastic in that game. Now we see Dallas Keuchel, the lefty, versus Bassett, the righty for Oakland. About 50-50 ticket split in this game. Opened up at -123 offshore at SBRodds.com. Now sits 133, 130. So not a lot of movement, but still going in the Oakland direction. This is the first game we'll take a look at today where all hands are on deck. I do like that Oakland bullpen. If Bassett gets in any trouble in the first 2 to 3 innings, he's going to be pulled, and they're going to go for matchups throughout the rest of this ball game. I like the fact that the Oakland A's can stack some right-handed bats. You still get a little bit leery because when you see the Chicago White Sox here, Jason, getting a plus money number, you're always going to be interested because they're only one swing of the bat away from either A, winning the game, or B, tying it up with a home run. As you saw yesterday, 3 home runs out in Oakland. But I think Oakland, to me, is the play today because I do see an even matchup primarily for me, for what I look at during the pitching matchup here. I think Oakland's going to need this game. I think they're going to expend their bullpen and try to extend this series. I'm going to go Oakland as the slight favorite today, -129, -130 in that range.
Yeah, I have under 7.5. It's an official play for me. Mm-hmm. When it comes down to it, we're playing in a ballpark that is a pitcher's ballpark. Mm-hmm. And Dallas Keuchel is a guy that pitches to contact. And therefore, guy gets a ton of ground balls. He's a guy that he hasn't allowed more than 1 run in a game in September. He did miss a start or two due to a small injury, but in September he went 20 innings pitched with a 1 earned run and just 2 runs on the month. So he's literally, this entire season, hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in a game this season, has a 1.60 ERA on the road with a 238 batting average, 25 strikeouts and 11 walks on the road, with righties just hitting 228. So again, we're going to look at mostly righties in the White Sox lineup. They're just hitting 228 against Dallas Keuchel. Or I'm talking about the Athletics. The Athletics, they have a ton of righties in their lineup, and they're just going to hit 228. You have Tommy Costello, of course, comes from the Angels, who's their really big lefty bat around, and Olsen as well. But that's about it. Most of the bats for the Athletics are right-handed. But then you also have Chris Bassett. We talk about him all the time. Bassett, he won the pitcher of the month in September. So he's been having a great season as well. But the Athletics really haven't done that well in terms of hitting with him on the mound as of late. So Bassett, he's allowed 1 run in September in 26.2 innings pitched. Strikeouts are getting a little bit higher now from what it was a little bit earlier in the season. He just struggled versus left-handed batters more with 4 home runs from the left side with a 248 average. And again, righties are hitting 223, just like I talked about Keuchel. Righties are just hitting 223. And again, the White Sox have a ton of right-handed batters in the lineup, probably a couple switch hitters, and you probably have Mazzara, so probably 6 and 3, I'm assuming, in the lineup. I'm not sure if he came out yet. But that said, I like the under 7.5. I think both these pitchers pitch well in Oakland. Keuchel pitches the contact. Bassett's getting a little bit more strikeouts than he usually gets in September. So I like an under 7.5 game. I think, obviously, of course, both bullpens are going to be coming in to perform. Can't lose this one if you're either team, really.
Yeah, lineups are out here. It looks like Listella's going to be a lefty. Olsen's going to be a lefty. So 7 out of the 9 batters are going to come from the right-hand side against Dallas Keuchel. And if we flip it over with Bassett, left-handed batters, Moncada, Grandal, and Garcia. So it looks like you're going to have what's that? 1, 2, 3. So 3. So you're going to have 6 batters coming from the right-hand side still for the Chicago White Sox. And we do know that it's easy money once they face lefties, but obviously getting a righty on the mound should be a good game, but all hands on deck for Oakland. There is no tomorrow, Oakland Athletics. If you take the loss today, today. And speaking of taking the losses yesterday, 943-944, Tampa Bay pulls out a win over the Toronto Blue Jays. Maybe they're too young. Maybe they're not ready for the spotlight. They're going to get their ace on the mound game 2 with Hyun-Jin Ryu, but also go up against a formidable pitcher in Glass now for Tampa Bay. This line, 7 out of 10 tickets here coming in on Tampa Bay. If we look across the board, opened up at 138, staying almost identical here. Offshore, 137s I see. All New Jersey outlets, 138, 143. So a little bit raised in New Jersey with those odds. 7 it opened up against, 7 still across the board. And just looking at the series again, Tampa Bay strikes out a lot, not a ton of power. You take a look at the offense for Toronto, it's not seemingly coming around, even though when I take a look at the lineups that are out today, or at least the projected lineups that we're getting here, and they are actually out, against right-handed pitching, Toronto has done very well this year. Biggio, 199. ISO, Bichette, 226. Gurriel, 229. Grichuk, 187. Teoscar Hernandez, 275. Shaw, 195. Jansen, 210. They have the ability and some elevated weighted on base average numbers as well. So if I'm looking at this game as an all-hands-on-deck, if I can get a good start out of Ryu, I would be leaning towards Toronto. But is this a case, Jason, as we said, maybe a little bit too much for the Toronto Blue Jays, too young to actually win in the playoffs? Because I know we like to kick some dirt on overall on Tampa Bay and the way they play and strike out, but there's a reason why they had a really good record this year, and it showed up yesterday, getting decent starting pitching and a strong bullpen and closing games out. Over 7, you see a 7, like, man, I'm just going to go over that, but that's going to be still a tough number to get for me. This game has the field like another 3-2, 4-2, 4-3 type ball game here. Going to be tough to get 8 runs for me in this one.
Yeah, do you really think that Ryu is going to allow a run in the first 5 innings? Like, if you really had to think about it, do you think Ryu is going to allow the Rays to score a run in the first 5 innings? I really don't think that will happen. And like you said, the Blue Jays, they have potential with their bats. In this game especially, why not take the Blue Jays plus 0.5 in the first 5 innings? 1, you have potential with the Blue Jays. And 2, Ryu more than likely will perform well in this game and maybe won't even allow a run. If he doesn't allow a run, you get that plus 0.5 automatic win. If you allow a couple runs, then you have the Blue Jays, and there's some sides that will say, all right, the Blue Jays are too young to perform. They're not going to be good enough. They're not ready for the spotlight. But then you have the other side where they say, yeah, this team is delusional. They can go and win these next 2 games and potentially knock out the Rays. I don't think it matters either way. I think they're just playing a baseball game, especially there's no fans there. Yeah, there's a little bit more pressure, but Ryu under the spotlight, I think he'll be fine. I think he shuts down the Rays here. So for me, it's an official play. The Blue Jays plus 0.5 in the first 5 innings at minus 130. I think Ryu really gets the job done here. Blue Jays should be able to score a couple runs in this game, especially early in the game versus Glasnow, who, again, he has a high strikeout rate, but he's had other issues as well in terms of walks, in terms of home runs. His ERA is 4.08, so he hasn't been perfect throughout this entire season. You'll get the strikeouts with him, but you might get a couple runs from him as well. I don't think the Blue Jays come into this series and not score a single run or 2. I mean, they scored 1 late in the game, but the Blue Jays have an offense that can do some damage versus Glasnow. They'll strike out, but they'll also get a couple, maybe a long shot or 2 with Ryu on the mound. I think they got the job done. So, again, the Blue Jays plus 0.5 in the first 5 innings. I like it at minus 130.
Yeah, I like that look. I think it's a pretty good look there because, again, when you take a look at that lineup, you're just trying to trust some of the numbers that you see throughout 2020. And as we said, they can do some damage against right-handed pitching. Now, Glasnow is an upper echelon pitcher. But, again, if you're going to take the run line in the first 5 innings and get the half run, hey, 1-1-0-0, who cares? You're going to walk out a winner in this game over those first 5 innings. 949, 950. We'll head out to the West Coast here. Some pitching issues here for San Diego. Not really today. They're going to go with Chris Paddock. But you see Dinelson Lamet and also Clevenger not going to be on the roster for this wild card series. So that's going to throw a little bit in doubt as we get down the line. But today, we'll just take a look at the game between Kim, the lefty on the mound, versus Paddock. Kim is the ultimate, you take a look at his ERA, it's really low, but his advanced analytics are high, going up against a pretty good batting lineup, as we know, in the San Diego Padres. 50-50 ticket split here, opened up around 160. Not a lot of movement here. 162 at Pinnacle, 160 at Chris. William Hill, 158. 7.5, however, turned into 8.5. So you're going to get some pretty good hitting weather out there. And looking at this lineup overall, I'm trying to find a way. I don't know if I want to take Paddock, young pitcher, first start in the playoffs, but if we take a look at Kim on the opposite side, Yes, his advanced analytics are high. His ERA is low. I'm trying to find a way to sneak in because take a look at a team total here for St. Louis. It's only 3.5 minus 115 before we came on the show at William Hill. That's where I'm going to lean towards. Get the full 9 at-bats against Paddock, who hasn't been locked down. I think St. Louis can scratch out a few runs. It's a low number, good hitting weather. That's where I'm going to go in this game. I don't want to lay that much money with San Diego, and I also don't trust Seattle actually to win the game. So I figure the easiest path to me is I do think you're going to get some runs in this one. I'm going to go with St. Louis's team total over 3.5 in this one, Jason. Which way are you looking here in this matchup?
I'm not sold on Paddock either. I think I've learned to appreciate what Kim does in terms of pitching. He pitches to contact, right? But this is a guy, he doesn't allow many home runs, right? So he keeps the ball in the yard, able to help the fielders make plays on the balls. And looks like the Braves just hit a double with Acuna in the 6th inning. So the Braves can get on the board soon here. But we're talking about, still talking about the Cardinals. Kim is the guy, that again, he pitches the contact. Home runs are low. Walks are low. With the 1.62 ERA for a reason. He's the guy that, he won't have you biting your nails. He'll get out of these innings quickly. Won't worry about walking batters and whatnot. And the Padres offense is really good. So do they have enough power to hit off of Kim and get the ball over the fence? Yeah, definitely they do. It's just I've appreciated what Kim has been able to do, and Paddock has not looked great this season. And with the Padres and their injuries with their pitching, I don't think it'll be a problem because they do have Davies going tomorrow. So if the Padres are able to win this game today, they have Davies tomorrow. I think they got the job done there, those 2 games, and they're fine. But yeah, it's definitely concerning going into maybe a potential game 3 or beyond with Paddock and Davies being your 2 starters. Davies has been really good, don't get me wrong. Paddock hasn't been. So we'll see what the Cardinals are able to get some runs here. If we get prime Paddock or we get really bad Paddock, that's yet to be desired. So at the end of the day, I'm staying away from this game. But I do think the Cardinals at plus 150 are a live dog at this point.
Yep, no, completely agree with you there. When we take a look at the next game, yesterday you figured, hey, if somebody's going to slow down the Yankee bats, yesterday would have been the day that Bieber slowed down the Yankee bats because nobody's really been able to touch him up. But taking a look at the game yesterday, the Yankees got off early, got off often, late in the game, blew that absolutely out. So the one game that we finally looked at, hey, we finally get some runs scored today. You're coming back again with a good pitcher on Cleveland with Carlos Carrasco, but that matchup again still goes up against that Yankees lineup. LeMahieu, Judge, Hicks, Voit, Stanton, Urshela, Torres, Sanchez, Gardner anticipated in the lineup tonight. Is it one that you take a look at and say, if you can wear out Carrasco, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, get to the bullpen, all hell's going to break loose again because it's hard to go up against that Yankees lineup for each inning. There are no breathers overall in that lineup. And then you take a look at Tanaka, who's not a bad pitcher on the opposite side, and you're laying that cheap number. Yesterday, you could have got the Yankees, a little bit of plus money. Now they're a favorite, but only minus 120 favorite. Over-under opened up at 8, now sitting at 8.5. I got to tell you, when I look at this game, I'm still looking towards the over because I think the Yankees can carry it, but I'm also looking towards the Yankees team total. That lineup eats, and I'll be more surprised, as I like to use this term. If the Yankees get 3 runs, I would be more surprised than if the Yankees get 6 runs tonight for me, Jason. I'll take the over in the game, and I'll take the Yankees team total over as well.
And I've been looking in the chat the entire show. Everyone's on Cleveland. And, I don't quite understand it. That Indians offense just really isn't great. Naylor played really well yesterday, but this is a team, the Yankees, they just went against Shane Bieber, and they just absolutely just destroyed him. Yeah. How do you think Carrasco is going to pitch against this Yankees team? When the Yankees are hot, and we've seen stretches in series where they just are extremely hot and just destroy pitching. Carrasco is a guy that's going to get destroyed here. Has a 3.59 FIP, 2.91 ERA, but the funny thing is, when you look at Carrasco, 3 wins and 4 losses. So they're not hitting the ball when he's on the mound. 2.91 ERA and 4 losses, just 3 wins. So the Indians have struggled when he's on the mound. And, Tanaka and Carrasco too. Carrasco looked good in postseason play throughout his entire career, but Tanaka has looked even better. Tanaka in postseason play has a 1.76 ERA. Playoff Tanaka is something different. That's something we're going to be sharing. We're going to be talking about it throughout this playoffs and talking about playoff Tanaka. And we talked about how the Yankees, outside of Cole, they really don't have pitching. Tanaka has to be that guy to step up and be that second ace for the Yankees if they want to go on and win the World Series. It's Tanaka. He's the biggest guy for the Yankees. We know the hitting will work out. We don't know about the starting pitching, and that's got to be Tanaka, because so far a 3.56 ERA and a 4.42 FIP isn't great. But if you look back at his starts, outside of his Toronto Blue Jays starts in his last two, he was fantastic before the Blue Jays. Before the Blue Jays, he was fantastic. He was limiting walks really well, and that won't change in this game against an Indians team that strikes out a ton. Tanaka should have high in the Ks. We were talking about those other games before the Blue Jays at the end of the season. He allowed less than or 2 earned runs or less in his last 4 starts before the Blue Jays games. So the Indians, this is an offense that's not very good, and Tanaka should be able to get some run support, of course, and get the job done here. So I'm with you 100%. Yankees on the money line. It's a banker play for me. I know everyone's on the Indians in the chat, but I'm all over the Yankees here. -124, an official play. I rarely do full games, but I love the Yankees in the spot. And even if they can't get to Carrasco, Carrasco will come out of the game, and that bullpen. Yeah, what can we say about those Indians that are coming out of that bullpen? Just didn't look too great. So I'm all over the Yankees in this one. It's the banker for me.
Yeah, I mean, to even take a look at the windy conditions here, blowing out the right field to start the game over 20 miles an hour. So the Yankees certainly don't need any help hitting it to their short porch at home in Yankee Stadium. But obviously this game being in Cleveland, that certainly doesn't hurt if you're looking for the over. This is a fly ball team, and if you're going to get the ball in the air, it's going to leave the yard going out to right field here in Cleveland tonight. Out west, 10 o'clock start. Nice little late night action here, 9:53, 9:54. That is Milwaukee. That is the Dodgers. Suter and Buehler on the mound. 9 out of 10 tickets here coming in on the Dodgers. Opened up at 230, staying in that range across the board, as high as 240 some places in New Jersey. Over-under opened up at 7.5, now sitting at 8. It's a high number. Do I want to say, hey, just take a flyer on Milwaukee? I don't want to do that. Walker Buehler has had some hit and miss starts this year, but when I do like to take the Milwaukee Brewers, like to take them against a lefty. Obviously, we know Buehler is a righty. The only way I'm looking at this game is maybe if you get some swings at the plate, the Dodgers, maybe a team total, maybe looking at an over 8 in this one if the Dodgers come to play. But seeing in the playoffs here, a lot of these games, holding under, so you're going to need 9 to cash that ticket in. Not a great feel for this game, but I don't just want to take a flyer or even take a run line in this game since it's the playoffs. But I guess I'll lean towards the over with the Dodgers team total here. That's about it.
So the Brewers are gonna start Brent Suter, right? Corbin Burns is out now. I think he has like a strained left oblique. Then you have Woodruff, who's probably going to be pitching in the second game. So he's not going to be coming in for relief. So we know there's going to be no Anderson, no Burns, or Woodruff coming in out of the bullpen in today's game. Yeah. So you're literally getting the Brewers bullpen throughout the entire game. I don't think Brent goes more than 2 innings in this game, right? So that's why I'm staying away from this game. There's not enough analytics to say, the Dodgers are easily going to dominate the Brewers here, but they really should. It's a bullpen game, really. And like we said, there's no Woodruff, no Anderson, no Burns. So what are we going to get out of the Brewers? I mean, that's the big question. So, Walker Buehler, he's looked great at home throughout the entire season. A 1.31 ERA at home in 4 starts with a 114 opponent batting average at home. So, Buehler's looked incredible at home for the Dodgers throughout this entire season. So, the Dodgers here, easily the play. It's just fishy with who are the Brewers going to throw out there. And will one guy come in there and just kind of pitch really well randomly and look good against the Dodgers offense that should destroy? I mean, you have such a weird feel in this game, and therefore I'm definitely going to be staying away from this game. And it also looks like Trevor Bauer just got out of the 6th inning.
Yeah, he did.
That was impressive job by Bauer. Still 0-0 game in there. So this is playoff baseball, man. We're excited.
Yeah. It seems like strikeouts are going up, and maybe those baseballs are extra covered in mud here. So we'll see what takes place the rest of the day. But we got through the card here. Nice, quick, simple half-hour show. Some good playoff baseball. I love what they're doing here. And any of the old timers, and look, I'm an old timer age-wise, but old timers that say there's too many teams getting in the playoffs. This is ridiculous. Are you kidding? You are complaining about today having 8 games, a 12 o'clock game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 10 o'clock. The more, the merrier. Let everybody in the playoffs. Let's have some fun with this. But now it's time for our best bets and bankers. 270 people watching live in the chat box here. 22 thumbs up. Let's get those thumbs up here. So I'm coming with a winner here. Yesterday, coming off a team total victory over with the Chicago White Sox 3.5. I'm going to go with the game total over, and it's the first game that we talked about today. Wind blowing out in Wrigley. Yes, I think Hendricks is going to have a decent start against the Marlins. I need the Marlins to get to 3 runs in this game. If they do, I'm going to be able to have a legitimate shot at this. Over 8 minus 118 is what I have the total at in this game. Wind blowing out, Cubs getting their left-handed bats. I look for the Cubs to get 5+ runs in this game. So yes, I do like the Cubs on the team total, but I'm going to go with the over in this game. Over 8 is my best bet and banker in Wrigley. Jason, take it away. Best bets and bankers for you today.
So we've got the White Sox and Athletics with Keuchel and Bissett on the mound. I'm going under 7.5. That's an official play for me, under 7.5 in the full game. Yeah, it's a low number, but we've already seen 3 out of the 4 games go under. Yesterday, of course, we're looking at 2 games that have zeros in their starts of their games already this during the daytime. So under 7.5 for Keuchel and Bissett in a pitcher's ballpark with 2 pitchers that have performed really well against like 67% of what the projected lineups will be in terms of righty-lefty splits. So under 7.5 at minus 110 for me in the Athletics White Sox game. If I thought there were a couple of 7s. I'd rather you get 7.5, of course, but if you have to take 7, then yeah, I would probably agree to the 7 as well. I'd rather 7.5, of course. Another play for me, an official play, the Blue Jays plus 0.5 in the first 5 innings. There's 2 reasons here. Ryu, I don't think he's allowing a single run versus the Rays in this game. So automatically, if a 0-0 game, you got him plus 0.5, you get the win from the Blue Jays. But, Donnie even talked about how the Blue Jays, they had some sneaky hitting against pitchers like Glasnow. Yeah. Why can't the Blue Jays score a couple runs in this game early in the game? Yeah, I think they can. I think they're a sneaky offense. I feel like they're a little bit more delusional on where they are, the youngest team in the playoffs. I don't see why they can't succeed in this spot and force a game 3. It could be a little bit hectic towards the end of the game with the Blue Jays bullpen if Ryu can't go that 9 innings. And therefore, I'm looking at the first 5 innings, just worrying about what Ryu does, not worrying about what the Blue Jays bullpen does, because things can switch and the Rays can actually win that game later in the game. Like we saw what happened with the Twins game yesterday. Same thing could happen in this game with the Blue Jays and Rays. Blue Jays come out a little bit ahead early, and then the Rays could end up winning this game with the bullpens. But lastly, the night game, the Yankees versus the Indians. Yankees, a banker, an official play at minus 124. I play this up to like minus 140. I love the Yankees in the spot. As you guys know, I have the Yankees over the Indians in the series as well. So looking to cash 2 tickets in one with the Yankees minus 124. It's a banker for me. It's an official play, and those are my 3 for the MLB playoffs, the game week or day 2.
There we go, man. And what we're rooting for here, because even though you might have some money on some of these games, it still would be nice if these series get extended, because you get those anticipated extra games again tomorrow. So it should be a lot of fun. But thank you guys for spending your afternoon with us here, setting you up for Major League Baseball. A few hundred people here in the chat box. Always appreciate it. We'll be back again tomorrow for Thursday to set up that Major League Baseball card once again. But it looks like pitching right now is the name of the game. No runs on the board yet between the first 2 games with Houston and Minnesota, Cincinnati, and Atlanta. We'll see if some of these tides change a little bit later in the day. Thanks again for tuning in. 69,700 people have hit that subscribe button for our Major League Baseball show, for NFL, for college football, for soccer, for NBA, for everything we got going on right here at sportsbookreview.com. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz. We're sportsbookreview.com. And this was your Major League Baseball show for Wednesday. Good luck, guys.